Dissecting a credit report. A credit report can be a confusing document to understand, so let's break it down into its parts to get a better understanding of it. There are three main credit bureaus in the United States: Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Banks and other financial institutions such as credit unions or the stores you might apply for credit at, they report your information to the credit bureaus regularly, usually monthly. And when you apply for a bank card, you give your address. And then they report that information to the credit bureau. When you list your employer on a credit card application, that information gets reported. When you pay a bill late, that information gets reported. And this is how your credit report is generated. There are four parts to a credit report. There are the personal identification information. There's the public information, credit account information, and recent credit inquiries. And we're going to look at each of these more closely. The personal identification information. This graphic shows what the personal information section looks like on a TransUnion credit report. Each of your credit reports will contain the following basic pieces of biographical information: your social security number, your name, including any aliases like past names such as a maiden name, your date of birth, current and past addresses, current and past employers. It's unlikely that any of this information will be incorrect, but if you do find an error, you need to notify the credit bureau if you've moved or found a new job. This way your current income levels are recognized when you apply for credit or a loan, and you don't miss any important correspondence in the mail. Your public record information. There are three main types of public records that can be included. You have your bankruptcies, your tax liens, and your civil judgments. The bankruptcies, there could be Chapter 7, Chapter 11, or Chapter 13 bankruptcies, and the length of time that a bankruptcy will stay on your credit report just depends on the type and whether you stuck to the terms of the agreement when you did go bankrupt. Tax liens. Courts will attach a notice known as a lien to a property record so that it would block the sale of that property until the tax debt is paid. And then there are civil judgments. If a court finds that you owe another party money, such as child support, this will show up on your credit report. Each of these has a negative impact on your credit score and can remain on your report for up to 10 years. Here you see this person in this report has two judgments against them. One is from October 2006, and it was satisfied, or what we call paid off, in June 2007. And this won't have much of an effect because it was paid and satisfied. It was for a $105 medical bill. But this one up here in August 2007 is more substantial. It's for a federal tax lien, and it's for a lot more money. This person owes federal taxes in the amount of $9,889. This will definitely affect the credit score much more negatively because they still haven't paid it. It's what they call outstanding. The credit account information. This is the credit history portion of a TransUnion credit report. This is what it would look like. Your credit report contains information for each account that you've opened with a credit card company or a bank or a creditor in the last few years. It will have the date of the account being opened and closed if it was closed, the credit limit or the loan amount, the monthly balance as of each statement date, and your monthly payment history on whether you've made your minimum monthly payments. This person has nothing past due, so they are up to date, and it says okay because it was all paid on time and they are in good status with this company, which happens to be American Express. And so it is important to note that if you've closed an account or you have an inactive account, like a card you haven't used in 5 years, it can remain in your file indefinitely, but usually inactive and closed accounts are removed after 10 years after the last activity. If you have an account that was not paid as agreed upon, you did not pay what you owed, or you defaulted on that loan, it can be removed from your report after 7 years after the last activity. Recent credit inquiries. The credit inquiries section of a TransUnion credit report looks like this. An inquiry is recorded whenever your credit is pulled, and this is called a hard inquiry. It's usually by a lender or a credit card company, a service provider, a landlord, insurer, cell phone company. Credit inquiries remain on your credit report for up to 2 years, and each can temporarily result in a slight dip in your overall credit rating. You know that they're happening because generally you have to give permission for a hard inquiry to happen. This promotional inquiries is called a soft inquiry, and they don't affect your credit rating, and you don't need to give permission for someone to pull this. These happen if someone background checks you, or you get pre-approved for a credit card offer that is mailed to you. You can opt out of this. It just simply removes your name and contact information from the lists that the credit bureaus sell to banks, so that they can no longer send you those pre-approved credit card offers in the mail. And then there are the account review inquiries. These are also soft. This is just when a financial institution checks your credit. This is just like when you check your credit, it is also a soft inquiry, so don't shy away from getting your free credit report because it will not negatively affect your credit score. So where is the credit score? That's a really good question. Credit scores are not required to be given by the credit bureaus like the annual credit report. The credit bureaus generally sell the score to you when you get your free annual report, and often they're trying to sell a subscription to get your score sent to you periodically. So it's a paid product and not always included on the free credit report itself. So what if I have an excuse for a negative report? Some credit reports contain a personal statement section, which allows you to explain any negative information contained in your file. This will likely have little to no impact on your overall credit standing or the decisions made by creditors or lenders, but it can't hurt to provide a rationale. This is how the personal statement section appears on the Experian credit report. Notice that you can select bankruptcy due to medical bills, delinquency due to job layoff, or delinquency due to divorce proceedings. While these statements may not increase your credit score, potential employers may appreciate the explanation while making hiring decisions. So what if I'm looking at my credit report and I find a mistake? The Federal Trade Commission estimates that roughly 1 in 5 people, that's about 42 million Americans, have an inaccurate credit report. It could happen to you. Unfortunately, all it takes is one single critical error on one of your major credit reports for a lender, landlord, employer, or other decision maker to decide that you are not trustworthy and to either deny your application or overcharge you. There are a number of common credit report errors that are indeed disputable, including inaccurate biographical information like a misspelled name or outdated address, duplicate accounts. Sometimes financial institutions or the credit card bureaus mistakenly list credit or loan accounts multiple times. Fraudulent accounts. Criminals are known to open up financial accounts under people's names and rack up expensive charges and leave the victims to clean up the mess. Inaccurate payment history. Payments mistakenly being listed as being late. When you know you've paid on time and it shows late payments, that's an error. You should keep in mind that the presence of accounts that you did not personally open could indicate fraud. Fraudsters are able to open financial accounts under other people's names with some basic information such as their social security number. So it's really important that you keep your social security number private and that you notify the credit bureau and your bank upon discovering such an account, as unpaid balances could damage your credit and be quite difficult to sort out if too much time passes. The records you need to prove your innocence are harder to track down the longer it has been since the fraud occurred. Fixing errors or fraud can be difficult and time consuming because the credit bureaus just won't remove the information based on your word alone. You have to present proof. Here are the steps to follow. Step 1, contact the source. Contact that entity that reported the erroneous information. You can find the relevant contact information online or on your monthly statement if there is one. In cases of fraud, you probably won't be receiving the statement in the mail. The criminal who set up the account won't want to clue you in by letting you get the statements in the mail. Step 2, build your case. Here's what you're going to need. You're going to need a copy of the report containing the error, and you're going to need to note where the errors appear. And that's if you're disputing by mail. You need your financial records. You should gather all relevant records, like monthly statements from the institution that has the wrong information to prove your case. If step 1 resulted in a favorable outcome, asking the financial institution for a letter acknowledging its mistake can go a long, long way. You need your correspondence records. Whether you're disputing online or by mail, you want to keep copies of all of your dealings with the credit bureaus. This may entail printing an online dispute confirmation or making a copy of a letter that you sent to initiate the dispute. Such a letter should include your full name, your address, the confirmation number for the report in question, and the account number of any relevant trade lines. You can find a sample credit report dispute letter online. Step 3, initiate the dispute. You can do this in one of 3 ways. There's online, and this is what it may look like. You can do it by mail, by phone, and then step 4 is the easiest one, just wait. Once the credit report dispute has been initiated, the respective credit bureau will contact the financial institution from which the information originates. That is the furnisher, so to speak, and in order to verify that it is either legitimate or erroneous. Information typically has to be given within 30 days, and then, but the process usually takes about 2 weeks according to the credit bureau Experian. Step 5, when you get the results, just need to look it over and see if it's what you were expecting, and if it wasn't, and if it is a really, really big deal to you, if it's really affecting you financially, you can go ahead and get help from either a lawyer or a credit repair company. There are ways to fix this. So now you know more about credit reports and how to understand them.